Hello and Shabbat Shalom. Today we're going to talk about something that we need to consider out of the Torah portion Vayikra. Vayikra is the first Torah portion of the book of Leviticus, which is also called Vayikra. And we're going to look at the concepts found in a single verse. We're going to look at Vayikra 1, verse 2, to kind of take a look at ourselves and how we worship. How do we communicate? How do we spend time with our Elohim? How do we separate our spiritual side from our physical side? Or is there really a separation of those two things? So let's take a look at this verse. It says, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any one of Adam brings an offering to Yahuwah, you shall bring your offering of the cattle of the herd or of the flock." First thing I want to point out in this verse is that when we read it in English from King Jimmy or any of our regular Bible verses, it says, when any man brings an offering. So, the Torah, the Bible, is not a chauvinistic book. It's not a sexist book. No separation of church and state. Elohim is no respecter of persons, okay? So when we read this in the context that it says in the Hebrew, it has the word Adam. Adam is a Hebrew word for humankind. So this verse relates to everyone. Whether you're male, you're female, it's irrelevant, okay? We all have to worship Elohim because we are all his creation. Yahuwah Elohim created the Adam in his image and his likeness. Male and female created he them, okay? So let's start off considering the word for speak in this verse, which is debar. Now, debar also means a proclamation, a commandment, promise, a warning, okay? It means the word, or a word, okay? The word used for to is el, that literally means towards. This word also means against, okay? So you have two things here. You can move towards something or against something, all right? It's in this time that we have a choice to listening to and observing this proclamation, this commandment. We can choose to listen to the promises and the warnings or not. Our choice. Everything in the Torah is a choice. We're not commanded and forced to do anything. We're said, here's a book of instructions. You have the option to choose, okay? This will determine our state of being in Bnei Israel, okay? Bnei Israel, the children of Israel. It says what? Speak to the children of Israel. We think of the children of Israel from a dispensationalist point of view. Ooh, that book was written for the children of Israel back in the day, so it doesn't apply to me because I am not Bnei Israel. But if we look at the word Bnei Israel, children of Israel, the word Bnei comes from the root bana, that means to restore and to establish. And in the word Israel, we consider sar, it means prince, but it also means authority of El, okay? So the authority of Elohim. So if I say Bnei Israel, instead of thinking of some ancient people that lived a long time ago, I can consider that those who are restored and established by and through the authority of Elohim. So I have in Bnei Israel the option to recognize that Elohim prevails in my life, that Elohim is present in my life, that I want to build a relationship with my Elohim, or as Jacob wrestled with the messenger of Elohim and became Israel, The other option is I can spend my life, my time, wrestling against Elohim. And this is where we look at the importance of this verse. The difference between devoting time to a relationship with Yahuwah my Elohim or wrestling against my Elohim, because I believe that he exists. Like I said in a past video, I believe there's dinosaurs in the Amazon rainforest. Or I'm aware of his presence in every aspect of my life at every moment that I live. And that is the meaning of Yahuwah, his name. So let's consider this next word in this verse. It says in the word ve'amareta, okay? It says, say to them. So we have two words in this verse. We have daber, that contains the content of what's going to be spoken, and the word emor, that is the action of speaking that content. But the root emor also means something spoken from the heart, okay? So we could take this to say, this is to them from my heart. Now, if we take the last letter in the Torah, in the word Israel, in the book of Deuteronomy, and the first letter of the Torah in the word Bereshit, in the book of Genesis, and we put those two together, it spells leb, heart. Okay? The Torah is the heart of Elohim. He speaks to us through his word. It is whether we have the desire to go to his word or not that is our choice. And this is, again, is why this verse is going to be so important. Okay? All right, again, it's spoken to Adam. Both men and women are given the instruction. There is no distinction made. He is not a respecter of persons in this, okay? So let's take a look at the word or the phrase, Yakriv Mikem Korban. Literally, it says, you shall bring an offering, okay? But that's how we translate it in English. If we were to look at this specifically, strictly in Hebrew, it would say, when you bring an offering of you, okay? We are the offering. We say, oh, well, it's saying you bring an offering of cattle and the flock and all this other stuff. No, it's saying when you bring an offering of you, okay, we first have to be willing to bring an offering. We have to first be willing to give ourselves completely in a relationship with our Elohim. The first offering in the Torah is the burnt offering. This is an offering of something special, okay? Not everyone had a bull or a ram, but the person who had it brought it voluntarily to the Kohen, and it would be totally and completely consumed, okay? The person that brought the offering wouldn't get anything out of it. The Kohen doesn't get anything out of it. I do something not expecting anything in return. I do something strictly out of love, and it's because I want to do it, okay? So, what offerings are given? The offering of cattle, the offering of the herd or of the flock. Let's consider ourselves. Let's consider our mindsets. We have a frontal cortex that allows us to look at gray areas and make deeper decisions, more defined thinking, allows us to basically filter what we say and filter what we think. We have the midbrain, okay? Now the midbrain tells us I'm hungry, I need to go to the bathroom, I want to procreate, breathe, it's the seat of emotion, really. It's the animal brain. It's in science, I think they call it the reptilian brain. We all have a reptilian brain. So we have two sides of us. The spiritual side of us says, oh, I have to pray and I have to study Torah and I want to be so spiritual, ooh, ah, and all that other stuff. The animal brain says, I don't have time for all that. I don't have time to go sit down and study. I don't have time to pray. I don't really need to get on the phone and call and check on so-and-so and such and such. I have work to do. I have bills to pay. I have all this other stuff that I have to get done that is too important for me to stop. Okay? Again, speak to the children of Israel. When any one of the Adam brings an offering to Yahuwah, you shall bring your offering of the cattle of your flock and your herd. When we are in a relationship with our Elohim, if I say that I am restored and established by and through the authority of Yahuwah my Elohim, then I must be willing to bring an offering of me. Not only the spiritual side that says it's time to sit down and pray, it's time to sit down and read, but I also have to bring that animal side of me that says I don't want to do either one of those things. Our carnal side must be put into submission so that we stop and have this conversation with our Elohim, so that we stop and study his instructions, so that we understand where we are in all of this. Okay? So, in bringing the offering of the cattle of the herd of the flock, we must be willing to give ourselves completely in this relationship. Yahusha gave himself completely, even to the point of death. Now, I'm not saying we have to sit here in our office or in our wherever and, I'm going to give myself, I'm going to die in my relationship with my Elohim. But I must be willing to allow the carnal side of me to die so that I can have a fully focused relationship with my Elohim. We read in the book of Ezekiel about the temple in the world to come. Something that we have to consider is that temple is not a temple that's built by human beings. That's a temple that is provided by Elohim. And there are a lot of aspects in Ezekiel, but when we look at Ezekiel, we can consider that we are the temple that Elohim has provided. We are the temple that he's provided for him to reside within us. And because of that, we have a responsibility to maintain that temple. We have to be willing to give ourselves completely to him without the distraction of everything that we're faced with that keeps us from fully fulfilling this commandment. Okay? Exodus. We read in Exodus 25:8. Says, and let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. Okay? But we have this word for dwell among them, which is betochem, that comes from the root tawak, that means to be in the middle, in the midst. So literally, build me a tabernacle so that I can dwell within them. So we have to be willing to submit our carnal selves. The spirit is willing. I want to take the time to stop and pray. I want to take the time to stop and study. But the flesh tells me, you can do that later. Right now you have to take care of what's important. You have to work and you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do the other. Does it really stop? Does it really hurt to stop for just a second and acknowledge that Elohim is present and say hello? And that is the question that this Torah portion asks of us. It's reminding us that we can take a moment out of our day, several moments out of our day, to stop and acknowledge the presence of our Elohim. You know, now we're in the middle of this quarantine thing and shutdown. We're forced to. You have no choice, really. I mean, what else do you have to do? How many games of solitaire can you possibly play? Oh, well, I'm working from home. Yes, you are. All the more reason that you can stop and take a moment to just have a relationship with your Elohim. And there is the Parsha of Vayikra, or a piece of the Parsha Vayikra, for this week. Shabbat Shalom. I love you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Goodbye.